Hi guys, this is Emnel and we are back playing Imperator Rome. The game has actually released like an hour ago. I planned on recording this, well, like yesterday, but I started creating that written guide I was talking about in the Rome playthrough. It is already released on Steam and on Reddit. The link is in the description. It's basically over 300 tips structured in some semi-useful groups that will allow you to hopefully start a bit easier as far as this game goes. Sadly, it took me like 2 full days to do, which made me unable to actually record anything. So let's, without further ado, start a playthrough as a monarchy. This seems a bit broken, so, well, I won't be able to play multiplayer quite yet, but well, we're not for doing that this time around. I was looking through available monarchies, and as you already know, because you read the title, I decided on Armenia. Most of the bigger ones are kind of already taken, but this one is in the interesting spot, and I think a goal of kicking the Macedonians out and reuniting Persia a few hundred years early, before the Parthians did it, is a noble goal. For the next playthrough, we will, I think, play one of the settled tribes, and we are going to try to unite Gaul. I'm not sure which one are we gonna go with yet. I was thinking Armenia, but they don't have anything in between to do, as in, so the tribes here can form Helvetia, and tribes here can form Belgia, tribes here can form Aquitaine and whatnot, so maybe I will be boring and start like Menepia or Nervia. We'll see. Just to, you know, get the Belga and perhaps showcase some colonization. Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a terrible idea. So, well, but we'll see. Armenia, though. So the game already released, which means we can go Iron Man. I'm still not gonna go mixed gender roles because that would be too easy. We are, well, we'll discuss those once we start. So, Armenia, yeah. Let's go. Now, look at it through our nation. We are an autocratic monarchy, which is a pretty bad monarchy because all we get for it is national slave output, which is not nearly as great as bonuses that, for example, aristocratic monarchy provides, which is minus 0.1 tyranny, which is huge, and plus 10% to citizen happiness, which is also fairly amazing. So, but well, what can you do? Despite being a monarchy, we aren't all that civilized quite yet. You take a look here, we have a little bit of citizens, a little bit more freemen, but we have a lot of tribesmen, which we will have to convert to some more useful pops because they do not like civilization. Their happiness will fall based on the civilization level. So if we take a look at our capital province with civilization value of 40, well, even when we hover over it, it will tell us that local tribes in happiness minus 20%, and well, it will only get worse, and their already meager output will get only worse. So this is something we need to keep in mind, and the easiest way of turning your tribesmen into useful pops is this civilization effort, which would increase civilization level in the province, but also will have a chance of turning tribesmen pops into freemen and slaves. This is actually interesting. So, when I started, I loaded in to look around because I haven't played as Armenia, and this specific province was actually on civilization effort, which was great. for two reasons, which we'll get to, but not at the moment. So we'll have to spend quite a lot of stuff to change our things. You see, however, that there is a lot of religious conversion going on as well, and that's because we are in a pretty difficult position as far as religion goes. We recently became Zoroastrian as far as, ruling family and elites goes, but Celtic cults, Celtic religiousness is still strong, which we'll have to deal with, because right now our religious unity is atrocious. 600 of our popes are not Zoroastrian. So, yep, I'm gonna deal with that. Also, at first, we will be really only able to expand northwards or westwards, which, will not help us with that. We may be able to strike here, but that may make us vulnerable to Seleucid attacks, because, as you can see, this is not a very mountainous territory, unlike what we have here. We'll have to probably change the things in the options, how the map looks, because if you take a look at it, most of this is uninhabitable, and there are mountain valleys we can fortify. Yeah, right here, things like that. So this is a pretty decent defensive position if we build a few forts around there. Like this place, for example. This pass can bury tens of thousands of bloody Macedonians trying to take our stuff, so we'll have to take a look at that. What else? We don't, as far as our diplomatic position is, we start with nothing. We don't have any. That's us. Well, same difference. No vassals, nothing. So we'll have to take a look. What can we take? Now, the good part about being an autocratic monarchy is that our ideas are pretty interesting. So we do have, first of all, we do want to spend 150 of our oratory power for this, because, we will get +2 a month due to all the things, as you can see here. So, as far as military ideas that we have available, we definitely don't need this. This one is really good because base army morale recover is 10%, and this is additive, which means that this is basically a 50% increase. And army morale recovery can be a pain. You can get into losing spiral, because it takes 10 months for your morale to recover. And if you lose a single battle, you may get those 10 months may last quite a long time. But we are just gonna go with more of armies to start. And as far as religious ideas, we do have this decent thing, ruler popularity gain. It will give us overall bonuses to our native pops, which is nice. It would increase our output of all the things. Loyalty of the subject states, we don't care, we don't have any. And lastly, we have state religion, which will increase our civilization level, which is around 40 at the moment, to 50. And will speed up monthly civilization change in all of our areas. The base one is, I believe, 0.03. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, let's take something that has maximum. Is it painted? Oh yeah, there it is. Base is 0.01, and that piece is also 0.01, so that's a pretty significant increase on its own, which is I mean, both useful and problematic, because, I mean, our tribesmen will slowly but surely get worse, but, well, we do want to switch them sooner rather than later, so might as well start working on it. I think this is a very solid choice. And lastly, we have civic ideas, which are also very interesting. Standardized construction, which would lower the cost of buildings if we were to build any significantly. Complex tariffs and tax farming. So basically, this is for tax income, this is for commerce income. Now, if we take a look at this, it seems very obvious, but it's not really as obvious, because we do have a lot of surpluses, and like all of that can be sold, and this is basically like 0.5 gold a piece. I've only run a test game for like few months, and no one was really interested in buying my stuff. Very much unlike when I play around here, which I imagine is, or like Carthage, for example, which I imagine is due to basically a simple fact that there's a lot more nations around here that wants to, that are able to import stuff from you, which, so if Armenia was magically transformed here, I would, without a shadow of a doubt, take commerce income right here, despite this bleak outlook. But in this case, I think we will play it safe and get slave output. We can actually gauge how much we will gain out of it. If we take a look at economy, we'll see that if we were to introduce class taxation, that increases national slave output by 25 rather than 20. So if we were to click that, you'll see that it increases by, I don't know, 1.1, because it's not actual tax. So, and most of our taxation actually comes from tribesmen at the moment. We don't have that many slaves. So compared to tribesmen, yeah. So this is definitely not a 20% increase in our tax revenue, but I mean it should be close to one ducat. So let's do it. Oh, by the way, I don't expect us to unpause this episode, so FYI. There's a lot to talk about, and I mean this is still a fairly educational thing, so but I'll try to move it along. Now, let's talk about monarchies a little bit. So, unlike with the republics, as you've seen with Rome, we do not have any senate. Our people do not belong to any factions. We do have a king, and he will rule till he dies, which is pretty bad because he's aggressively mediocre. And so, yeah. And he is 31, so I'm not really looking forward to like 50 years with him. But well, what can you do? Hopefully he'll get some useful traits here and there. Fingers crossed. He's quite popular actually. Interesting. Actually it does rule a popularity. I actually don't remember. I should have sworn it should matter. It was here somewhere. There it is. Yeah. So monthly legitimacy and monthly tyranny is lowered by it, but it doesn't actually increase our happiness like with the republics. Which I guess makes not taking this even better, because I mean. We can probably deal with tyranny, especially since most of our territories right now occupied is within our home region. Now, continuing, we do have an heir, which seems to be a random heir, because the last time I loaded this guy was like 10, 1, 1, 4 or something like that. So, which I mean, good for him or for being a good general, but that was atrocious. So, and I mean, okay, this has not yet been counted, but he seems to be. But yeah, so he will probably shake up to be an heir. Oh, he has a corruption though, which is less than ideal. He's 37 years old, so he'll probably rule for a few years. Next guy is pretty bad, assuming this one dies, and so on and so on. This is like, like they don't like being great. Oh, okay, this guy likes being awful. So hopefully this one will die, or whatnot. So, as you can see, our possible successors aren't all that amazing, but that's what you get in the monarchy. The biggest monarchies, like Seleucids, Egypt and whatnot, start with predefined families. So you'll get something more stable. But I guess you could keep restarting when playing as Armenia to get a better luck in the draw. But we'll see what happens once we are closer to succession. Now, let's take a closer look at our government. The positions and what they do in government change, also change between the government types. So this guy gets, instead of giving Senate popularity, or what was it? He lowers our aggressive expansion, pretty aggressively, I might add. So this is nice. This one makes it cheaper for us to gain stability and to get omens. Well, we have a pretty shallow character pool. Mercenary maintenance, okay. More of armies, which is always good. Do we have a 10? We do not have anyone remotely useful. Omen power, pretty good, but our omens are awful. Monthly legitimacy is kind of pointless because we have it maxed and it's not going anywhere. But if pretender thing goes haywire, it may be an issue. So this one is pretty important for us right now, and this one is if we want to keep our guys alive. So it will not help them when they are dead, but when they are sick, because I think all diseases and other things like that at least take 0.01. Often like 2.0 toll on your health, but he will heal people up between between the illnesses if something like that happens. Now, I don't think we are gonna change our stances. I looked into it, and we could go mercantile stance. Basically, we are not gonna do it because we want to spend the oratory power on the government, on the civics. But there is, we may change it later. We are on a neutral stance, which kind of gives us nothing in our situation right here. Economy, we are not going to go this route, which would give all our provinces additional import routes. For that, we would have to go mercantile stance, and we don't have that much civic income to do it. I don't think. Also, for now, basically, we can switch to that later if it turns out that people aren't importing our stuff and we have a lot things to do here. For now, we do not have any surplus. So we are gonna just increase our commerce income. We have an option to boost our economy a bit more here, but we'll just keep it as it is. We do want some of our research, which people, as you can probably imagine, is pretty damn bad because we have a lot of tribesmen. So we will, and our people are bad here, as you can see. I mean, okay, they're decent-ish, but nothing to write home about. Before we pick our inventions, let's take a look at our capital, because as you can see here, we have unused trade routes. We have a few interesting things here. So we do have horses with a surplus, which means we get light carb discipline, which is always good. We do have steppe horses without a surplus, but steppe horses alone are pretty amazing, allow us to get horse archers, which are the super weapon of the era. We do have some leather, which will increase our light infantry defense when with the surplus, and we do have even more leather around the country, which when exported will allow us to get even more defense, which will be useful once we get to that. Another thing we have are vegetables, which is nice. Supply limit will be an issue around here, so getting more supplies is okay-ish, but the thing we are here after is costume of slaves. We do not need it now, but it's nice that we will be able to get it later, because we will want to produce some surpluses later on, and for that we will be in need of moving slaves around. Right now, as you can see, we have 5 slaves here and 4 slaves here. This is our capital, though. It produces steppe horses, which means we will get, when at war, we will get some free slaves around here. We do also have precious metals, which is nice and to have in your capital province. Local citizen happiness, always good. And if we ever get a surplus, we can get a citizen promotion cost, which is also good thing to have, because we will probably need to promote some citizens later. It's not a huge deal, because the cost is of promoting a single citizen is 10 right here, so that would just get it to 9. I'm not actually 100% certain what happens when the bonus is 15. I believe I remember that it will not go to 9 to 8 when it's, an average. It will round up rather than down, but well, we'll probably take a look at it. So precious metals, let's find them here. They are pretty rare, as you can see. I mean, not everywhere, but it's pretty rare. So we might get an ability to import some, but it may be a long shot. So as you can see, it shows that there's nothing, but you can see Macedonia is only -10, which if we just send them a gift, they would accept. So that is the way. Same goes with Egypt, but I don't think we want to rush this. There are more important things we may want. Another thing that we can consider is getting wine, or freeman happiness, and army maintenance. Army maintenance is always good if we get a surplus. Problem is we don't start with much, and we will actually, there's a lot of it around here. Like if you take a look here, a lot of surplus wine we can import later on, so that's not a problem. We are more interested in this part here, which is the one that is often the most difficult to get, and like precious metals. So we will struggle with research early on, and it would be nice to get a little bit more research, get ahead of our allies here, and even some big enemies around that may struggle with research themselves. So Papyrus would be a nice thing to have. And there is some papyrus to be gotten in Egypt, and basically we would want to do it now, because once AI accepts your trade deal, they usually don't break it unless you end up at war with them or they lose control of it. And I mean, it's less likely that Egypt will lose control of it than someone else of something else. So it's I think so. We are gonna go for Papyrus. Now the question is, are we gonna go for 1 or 2 copies? Surplus is okay, but it's nothing to write home about. It's just a tech bonus to one of the schools. So those 2 bonuses are only in our capital. So but considering how difficult it may be to get it later, I will actually get both copies right now. So let's go to Egypt. Egypt is expensive, but we are gonna send them a gift. And go back to our capital. And as you can see, we can now get from Memphis. And another papyrus from I get one from Central Delta in case something happens in Memphis. I think Central Delta is more safe. So a little bit of that. And now for the third one. As you can see, we've also gotten access to gemstones because Sinai likes us. That may be a good choice as well. It's those are definitely difficult to get. If we look at here, they are produced like right here, a little bit on Sinai, and just bits and pieces there. But this is not even colonized, so we are unlikely to ever get a second surplus. But plus 20% local tax may be decent enough. So elephant where we can get in our own land, so it's we can do that later. We have no chance of getting amber. It's only at the Baltics. Marble we would have to get 2, and I think we will manage tyranny for now. So no point rushing that. Another option is once again getting this, but for now it will not help us at all. Only citadel provincial loyalty in our capital is pointless. Getting a grain should be easy enough. So I think we are gonna. So basically, it's either wine, but we need 2 copies, and the wine will be easy to get. Grain, which will be not as easy, but still fairly easy to get, and we would already get a surplus or gemstones, and I think we'll go for gemstones, mostly because they are difficult to get, and if we ever somehow manage to get a second one, it would be fairly amazing, and I think we can sustain this import for quite a long time. So there we go. That will, if we go to trade, actually give us some money just by the virtue of importing stuff. So, and our commerce income will increase as it is. And once we research a little bit, we'll be able to get additional surpluses. Also, we are going to disable surplus trades from our capital. Another thing that we could get is actually iron, and we'll talk about it now when we take a look at our weird-ass army. So this is a powerful army. We have heavy cavalry, cataphracts, we have heavy infantry, and we have horse archers. We can actually build them all using things in our territory. So we do have iron right here. And we have horse archers, both here and in our capital, as we discussed. And yeah, horses and whatnot. We have like horses up with the wazoo. But this is not the great army to fight in the mountains. Like, there's a lot of mountains here. Like, see that great thing? Those are mountain passes. And there's not a lot of civilization there either. And we are gonna expand there, which means that there will be very little in terms of supply. Supply limit 5, 8, which will just mean that 4, 7. This army of ours, like, there are literally 2 places in all of Caucasus they can stand. So this is not useful because heavy infantry gets a attrition rate bonus. Heavy cavalry, same. we could, they're prohibitively expensive. So I think what we are gonna aim for is army made of light infantry and horse archers. That we'll have a core of light infantry in the middle and horse archers until we get a grip here, because sure, this army will wreck anything around here, sure, but the problem is that it will just die to just existing. So we are going to disband those pretty little horses. I think we may also disband heavy infantry. Okay, let's separate the horses and see how. Okay, so they can at least function in our own place, but nowhere else. No, actually, I meant to select the second one. Okay, so yeah, that's not nearly enough. Yeah, we'll have to get rid of heavy infantry as well. I do think maybe I'll just keep 4 to get. Nah, okay, I'll keep the heavy infantry. I'll keep them as a core, and I'll split them into armies. Those guys go bye-bye. And I have to actually pay to disband them, which is annoying, but okay. And yeah, you guys can split into 2 armies. Now we need to build them up. We do not have now. Question is, do we want to invest in the starting experience? I think question is no. We have better things to pick early on. We'll get some tech speed right here, and later on we'll get some national tax or commerce. So we're seeing how the things turn out. Also, fabrication of claims is an option. So what we're gonna do is get 3 more, which means that we can basically recruit whatever we want here, wherever we want that. So we're not gonna get light cav, I don't think, right now. We can get it later as a separate army, which is it's just very good. So, and we are gonna get a lot of light infantry right here. Same goes for the second army here, and this whole thing will be much lighter than what we had, and that's a good base thing. Maybe I'll get the 4th heavy infantry, but we'll see. Yeah, but horse archers. Okay, when you take a look at this, horse archers are great versus heavy infantry. Light infantry, archers, so the things that we can are the most common around here. They're not as great versus light cav. They're actually pretty bad against light cav, and not as good versus heavy cavalry. But if we look on the other side, heavy cavalry isn't all that great against horse archers either. So this is basically an even fight, and they are more expensive than the amount of various wars, so, and the attrition rate. Speaking of cost, we have a Persian traditions as far as our military goes, which means that our horse archers cost less. This includes the fact, as you can see here, they do not cost 10, they cost 8, which means they are actually cheaper than our light infantry, while being better, strictly. I think, yeah, so now when I think of it, yeah, I think there is no reason to keep heavy infantry. Not really. They're about as good. It's only thing having, yeah, I mean, is there? I mean, only thing that's heavy infantry is better against are light cav. But okay, let's not disband them yet. We don't want to get attacked while we have no army, just because someone sees us as easy pickings. For now, we will right-click this omen. We will save our religious power, because we do want to probably go to to war without a CB. Which may be a bit tricky, because well, we won't have an army before before things. Okay, you cannot declare war till the 1st of November, and someone will probably ally someone. So the question is, who do we want to attack? We have well, quite big neighbors. Those guys are pretty weak. They are a monarchy, so they don't have additional bonuses due to being additional troops due to being a tribe. Those guys are a migratory tribe, so they will have more cohorts, but they should be pretty weak. So once we build up our army, should be alright. Also, we should be okay treasure-wise, I do think. But yeah, let's keep it let's not build too much quite yet. Those guys would also be a good pickings. I checked earlier, and there seems to be like one fortress here. But it basically depends on who's going to ally whom. We cannot go against Cappadocia because they are a tributary of Phrygia, which would be suicidal. We can go against Pontus, which is always an option, and we can go against those guys, which I mean, it looks weird, but I mean, we could walk there, and yeah, I think we would be quite safe owning this territory. So that's and we would need religious power to boost our stability back up, because otherwise we will need to wait for this. Problem with going for a no CB war is that we won't be able to take much. If we were to go to war with a CB, okay, so when you go with show superiority kind of casus belli, everything costs 3 times as much in war score, which is problematic, because you want when you're fighting such big nations as those. This one, on the other hand, shouldn't be as heavy. There isn't as many troops, as many people here, which I mean is good and bad. But so we'll see how the situation develops. Perhaps we will attack those guys around here. So, and that's about it as far as the setup goes. We've went through religion, technology. We haven't picked this, but this is we are gonna stay with with normal taxation, and we are not gonna change anything around here. Diplomacy. I think it would be nice to get allied with someone. Alright, but I don't think there are many major powers around here. So, right, that's another thing. We start as a major power. We don't look very big, but apparently there's a lot of cities around here. We do have over 100 cities. So, like, compared to 28 here, 40, 28, 66. So, I mean, we are a pretty big kid on the block, not nearly as big as those guys though. So, and as far as alliances go, I don't think we'll be able to get anything worthwhile. Yeah, because I mean, only regional power, only powers of the same status are those here. So here we are. So, I promise we are not going to unpause, and I'm gonna keep that promise. We are gonna unpause at the start of the next episode. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you're enjoying. If you want to check out like a written guide, check out the description below, and I will see you next time. Oh, right. I almost forgot. So, this is like the first episode of the series, so YouTube algorithms and shit. So, if you guys could like it, it would be quite useful, I think. Also, if you want to see more, you can subscribe. Cheers!